bring a beer. And so, oh, there it is. That's one of your favorites.
The Ying.
This is actually my go-to beer, Yingling, and I think it is yours as well.
It is, that's right. In fact, my wife gets embarrassed when she sends me to get craft beer and I come back with Yingling. She thinks it's low man beer, but I think it's great. And
well, this
cheap.
is craft beer for you because you got pretty low taste buds. Your name actually is not Greg. Your name is Cheese. Cheese. That's what I call Greg. He's Cheese because he just likes plain Jane cheese. Eating a steady diet of government cheese.
Eating a steady diet of government cheese.
As Matt Foley said
So that cheese thing started because a bunch of cheese pizzas got ordered, and you said it was a bad use of money.
It was. Ordered a bunch of cheese pizzas for a staff event, and guess what? There aren't any third graders at staff, so no one was eating the cheese pizza.
But I didn't even order the freaking pizzas, and it still sticks as cheese. And then you found out I grew up in a trailer.
You said, oh, everyone likes cheese.
Then you found out I grew up in a trailer park, and you made it government cheese. That's ruthless, dude.
Government cheese.
That's ruthless.
Yeah, we have some, I think we have some little special things here for
pretzels.
You. I saw a little new thing. Look, cheese.
Beer cheese?
Oh, cheese.
Who doesn't like beer cheese?
Yeah. So you tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh man, well, I went into the thing of saying government cheese, but that is one of the unique things. Is I grew up in a little bit of poverty, grew up in a trailer park, and if I look at my life now, to where sort of as a college graduate, as somebody owns a home, I got a wife and 3 girls. I look at a lot of my life and would have said, man, the deck was relatively stacked against me to go after a so-called American dream of sorts. And, I think whether that was where we're at here at the University of Cincinnati, going here, graduating and going into a marketing career and then switching tracks and joining Crossroads. I don't know, there's sort of a cool thing of how I was sort of taken care of at different points in my life where the deck was stacked against me, and pretty cool.
So poverty is a real thing for you.
Oh, absolutely.
What's a poverty memory for you?
It's funny you say that because just last night I caught myself. We went to a U2 show in Indianapolis, and Ab thought, my wife, she said, let's get floor tickets. Let's get general admission. So she surprised me with them, but my poverty mindset was, I've got to get there as early as possible because if I get stuck behind a tall guy and I miss this show, then it's going to suck. So the whole time, rather than being, oh, I'm at U2, this is great, I'm thinking like, if my seat's not good enough and if I miss the show, I'm not going to have the best experience. There's sort of this idea of like, you only get one shot at this, so don't mess it up.
Because everything is scarce.
Everything's scarce, that's right. Versus, man, it's a great night, the awning's open, let's just enjoy. It's sort of like clinging to it because you might not get it again.
Well, there's so few people that actually change their economic status. So I find it interesting to be with someone was in poverty, and now is not. And generally, when someone's born in poverty, they stay in poverty, unfortunately. If you're born in wealth, you stay in wealth. So when I find people who flip-flop from one to the other, that's always for an intriguing conversation.
A little bit of a change of the subject, but I saw this on the news this morning. I thought I better ask Brian about that. So we're talking about the hurricanes that just went through. One hit Texas, one hit Florida, and they said, man, this thing shifted course and went up the West Coast instead. And I just had this thought of, okay, so if I'm on the East Coast of Florida and I've been on my knees praying that God spared my house, I could go, oh, God answered my prayers, isn't that awesome? My house is safe. And if I'm on the West Coast, I could be going, everything I just had is demolished to rubble. Why didn't God answer my prayer?
Because you're in the West Coast, you weren't praying. That's why you were happy it was going to go to those rat bastards on the East Coast.
Right.
Then it came and wiped you out like that. That'll show you not to pray.
I'll let you take that message to them. I'll let you. Seriously, man. I mean, how is that? I've followed Jesus for a long time, and yet I still look at something like that and go, man, you could go prayers were answered, or you could go prayers were unanswered based off of where you were 100 miles coast to coast.
Right.
Just curious, any thoughts on that?
I have no idea. I have no thoughts. I know that we know that prayer is effective. We know that it is. We don't know exactly how and when God chooses to say yes to some prayers, no to some prayers, and wait on others. God answers every prayer. Yes, no, or wait. We're not sure exactly when and what moves him to do what category and what sector, but it does stand to reason if he does say yes to something, it probably affects something else, right? I'm not saying your prayers on the East Coast jack somebody up on the West Coast, but there are ramifications to our prayers, and I don't understand on this side of eternity.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that I've prayed for a lot of things in my life, and I've seen the exact answer that I asked for. And I've prayed for some things I've seen the opposite. Right now we're moving. You know, we're starting a new campus of Crossroads. We're moving to the East Side. Our house is for sale. We thought we're moving for God. It'll sell quick for a lot of money, and it's fallen through 3 times. We're praying hard about that. The flip side is I think that God might be doing something bigger in me, in my marriage, in my life, seasoning me to what you're talking about, that maybe selling my house isn't on the top of his priorities. That said, selling a house is not getting your house wiped out in a hurricane. So,
Right.
you know, I've got it hopefully enough to see God showed up when I prayed before.
I think this is something that we don't talk about much, and that is the role of suffering. If you take a look at our prayers, so much of our prayer is to eliminate or alleviate suffering. And if you take a look at how we spiritually mature, how we spiritually grow, all of us look back on when we suffered as the thing that actually growed us. So all of us go, ooh, me, I want to spiritually grow, and yet none of us go, ooh, me, I want to have suffering. I'm sorry, the book of Philippians says, unto you has been granted the right to suffer. That's the perfect laboratory for spiritual maturity to take place. And it happened with me. I lost my home to a fire, Lib and
that's
I.
right.
We had no renter's insurance, and house burned down, lost my dog, lost my cat in the fire, pulled out my kids out of the fire, scooped them up out of their cribs in bed, ran out of the house, my underwear on backwards, and it was awful. It was why would your underwear be
why
on?
were underwear backwards?
Because I normally don't wear underwear to bed, if you must ask. I don't know why I told you, but now you ask. So, and I tell you try putting on your underwear when the house is pitch black and engulfed in smoke, you're trying to save the lives, you're just trying to get legs and holes someplace. It doesn't matter to you which one's going to. But you know, I look at the end of that thing, and I thought it was awful. I thought it was the worst thing that happened to me. We were devastated. I look back at that now and said, no, that's the best thing that could have happened to me. The best thing that could happen to me is that I lost that house, because losing that house actually set us on a trajectory to go to Cincinnati and start Crossroads. Because we were so comfy cozy in this rented house. It was dirt cheap from an uncle on an acre of land in a wooded plot. It was just perfect in this church that I had this comfy cozy job, and that losing that thing. In fact, I remember one day we walked in that house going, oh, it's so beautiful. There's a fire's going, I'll never leave this place. Not long after that, God said, oh, you won't, huh? Boom, now you have to leave it.
Dang.
And that started a walk of faith that strengthened me and enabled Crossroads to happen. So I just think we accuse God of being asleep at the switch when God says, oh, no, I'm not asleep at the switch. I know exactly what I'm doing or exactly what I'm enabling. I'm enabling some hardship here that's going to bear righteousness in your life in the future. Of course, it's easy to say when it's just a house we lose, but then when we lose a loved one, that's a little more difficult. But all I'm trying to say right now is we do everything we can to stiff-arm difficulty, and when we do that, we're at the same time are stiff-arming the likelihood that we're gonna be a spiritually deep person who has a reservoir of wisdom.
You've gotten to a point of seasonedness in your life where you're able to just spew wisdom relatively effortlessly. What's behind that?
I'm not going to lift myself up as the bastion of wisdom, the bastion of maturity, but I will tell you, it is, as I've aged, it is wild how when you open your mouth, there's a reservoir of experiences to draw from that makes a difference.
So maybe 30-ish, 20-somethings watching this, 30-year-old like me. I mean, how do you, say you want to be taken as an heir of authority, you want to be taken as wise, is it fake it till you make it? Are you just taking the low road and admitting you don't know?
I don't know. Fake it till you make it. I don't think that's a totally offensive phrase, but no, I think you just bring the fullness of who you are to any situation. Whoever you are, you're bringing fullness. And you can't substitute for years walking with Christ. I don't care if you've got a seminary degree. I don't care if you know original languages. I don't care if you fast 40 days a year for the last 3 years. you can't substitute day in, day out hitting the same nail of following Christ. And so it's nothing you aspire to. You just follow Christ where you are right now, and then you'll be building something that later on you'll have that you don't even know where it came from.
Right. I just think it's for especially millennials who want to come out of the chute, they want to come out with a college degree, and they want to sort of be where they want to be long term.
Yeah.
They don't really. It's hard for us to do step by step and admit that maybe we don't have it all figured out yet. And
Right.
I think there's some freedom in knowing that's okay.
Well, and the challenge with someone who's younger is they can't say, I know I don't have it all figured out, because they don't even know that they don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I thought I had it all figured out when I was 23. I thought I had it all figured out. When I started Crossroads at 30 years old, I'd hear people talking about, things with their church or this, that, and I was like, oh, well, if I was you, I would just do X, Y, Z, because I just assumed I did know it all. No, I didn't. I didn't know it all. I was very confident in my knowledge base, but I had no idea my knowledge base was as incomplete as it was. You have no idea. You have no idea how to raise a teenager until you've raised a teenager. You have no idea how to have a baby go down to bed and not cry throughout the whole night until you've figured that out and done that. I don't care how many books you read. Until you've done that, you don't know jack about parenting. And it's the same way with things with Jesus. I mean, financially, until you have begun to give 10% of your income away, which is tithing, you really have no idea what it means to trust God with your finances. It's only in doing that. And most of us don't know the difference between actually been there and actually doing that. So right now, if you can sort of hover, elevate above the problem with that long-term perspective, hopefully it'll take some of the pinch out. And I thought I had one more gulp. I don't. I was trying to finish. I thought it was a lot.
What's in here?
This is really wrong because this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. These Yeti koozie things. I mean, you put your beer in there. Your beer is colder.
So
it's
hold
cold,
on.
But here's the problem. The problem is this. The problem is that I've had I don't know how many beers where my brain knows, oh, it's that heavy, so there's that much beer, and and it's gone, or it's whatever. It's thrown my internal gauge off.
So I'm gonna pick at something that I know burns you up. I've got 4 of those, and they were $6 a piece, and they're called Ozark Trail. You hate that?
I do hate that. I do hate that. This will be my last answer. I do hate that. Yeah, there's all kind of Yeti knockoffs and all that stuff. I do hate that. I'll tell you why I hate that. Is that all job growth in America is all coming from startups. All of it. Corporate America is not creating any new jobs. It's all startup entrepreneurs. So when people knock off of Yeti, we're kind of happy because it's a similar or same product at half the price. But these are the guys that blazed the trail and hired new people. And if these people like this don't get rewarded financially, if other people come in and just cut off the pass and just do the easy thing, it disincentivizes people from starting new companies that creates new wealth and actually has job growth. So no, I think all these knockoff products we're seeing is exactly what's wrong with our country. We're knocking everything off and we're not doing anything that's new. The greatest innovations used to come out of Silicon Valley. Things like the microwave, the silicon chip. What comes out of Silicon Valley now? Let's just reformat code and hope that somebody could be the next Instagram or the next Facebook. We're creating very little in our country. And the fact that no one sees any problem with crushing somebody who was a first-in-class innovator, that's a problem.
Dude.